Hari Om everyone, and welcome to another session of stories from the Bhagavatam. So last week we had stopped halfway while hearing the story of King Bharata. Let us continue today. What happens next with Shubhaji?
Hari Om. Last week we saw King Bharata while he was in his last few moments, he was thinking about the baby deer, right? Remember everybody? Yes. So since he was always thinking of the deer, Bharata died while meditating on the deer. So he received the body of the deer in his next life. But due to his advanced spiritual devotion, he was blessed with remembering his life as a king. So he remembered everything and he repented his action of getting so attached and forgetting his duty and devotion to God. He remembered in his previous birth, and as a deer now, he went to the sacred place Salagrama near the ashrama of Pulaha and Pulas. Yeah. This place was full of learned sages, and the king remained alone in his dear body so that he could hear all the discourses about, and all about the greatness of Lord Vishnu. He now feared any sort of association with that would again drag him to material consciousness. So he waited for the death of his dear body so that he can get out of his dear body and avoid that association even with other deers. Okay. So in due course, he gave up the deer body near the Gandaki river. Bharata was liberated from the body of an animal, but not yet liberated from material existence. So he took birth again as the son of a learned Brahmana in the lineage of Angirasa. Again in this birth, he was able to remember his past lives, and so he became particularly determined never to fall again into distracting association. So he remained constantly absorbed in thoughts of Lord Vishnu, but externally he seemed blind, deaf, dumb, and mad. His affectionate father tried to teach him spiritual duties, but Bharata intentionally acted as if he could not understand anything and pretended to be a fool. His father was, however, very worried as to what Bharata will do in his life. So, as years went by, everyone ignored him, thinking he was mad and a fool who didn't know anything. Okay? But in reality, Bharata remained always fixed in his spiritual consciousness and did not identify with happiness or distress, honor or dishonor. He gave no importance to his physical body and ate what was given to him without any complaints. On one such occasion, a group of robbers caught hold of Bharata, who was protecting the paddy field from animals, and took him to their leader, who ordered them to clean and dress Bharata for human sacrifice and as an offering to Ma Kali. But Bharata, who was fully absorbed in God and he was a well-wisher to all living beings and he never thought ill about anybody nor did he hurt anybody, right? So he was not the kind of sacrifice Kalima approved of. So instead she became angry and cut off the head of that leader, that robber leader and his gang. Kali saved Bharata from getting sacrificed. But why did Kali save him? Because he was always devoted and he was always in his spiritual sadhana and he was devoted to Lord Vishnu. So any devotee of Lord Vishnu doesn't get harmed by anybody, right? So he was not harmed by this human sacrifice by these robbers. So he was saved by Ma Kali. So same way when he was leading his spiritual life, Once King Rahukana of Sindhu and Saufira was being carried in a palanki to visit Kapila Muni. Okay, we know the story of Kapila Muni, right? So he was a very learned person. So on reaching river Ikshumati, the chief palanquin bearer realized that one of the men was not well. So they needed someone to carry the palanquin. So usually 4 people carry the palanquin, right? So when one is not well, the palanquin will not be straight, right? So all 4 should be there to carry. So one of the person got sick. So they saw Bharata, who was young and strong, to carry the king's palanquin. Bharata did not object because he is okay with anything and everything. He would say yes to everything, right? Because he is always in that state. So he agreed to carry the palanquin. But as he walked, he refused to step on the ants along the path. So when he was avoiding, the palanquin got shaky and wobbly. Okay. And the king was getting disturbed by his shaky walking. The king ordered Bharata to walk properly. Hey, why are you going like that? Stop. He started shouting at the Bharata. Okay. So Rahugana was a very pious king. And when Bharata ignored his orders, he got angry. He started ridiculing Bharata by saying, "Oh, you look so strong and young, but yet you can't carry me properly. What is this?" He started saying. So he can't carry properly. So Bharata, who is always calm, right? And he didn't since he didn't identify himself with body and mind, he was not bothered by what that king was saying, whether and ridiculing him. So he remained silent. The king got even more angry. What is this? Whatever I say, this fellow is not saying anything. He's just going calmly and doing whatever he wants to do. So the king got angry that Bharata was silent in spite of his orders and continued to be very wobbly. Then the king ordered, "I will punish you if you don't stop this," and told Bharata to walk properly. Bharata, who was silent and calm throughout, looked at the king with compassion and, to benefit the king for the first time, spoke spiritual truth. He said, "I am not the body, I am not the carrier. So how can I be tired? I am not in distress. Even though we traveled so far, since our real destination is elsewhere, I am not afraid of dying because I am not born nor do I die. Everything in this world has a beginning and an end, and everything here appears and disappears. So everything is temporary. Even you being a king and I being a servant is temporary. So if you punish me, it's not going to affect me. So I am fixed in spiritual consciousness. So your punishment will not affect me." Hearing all these valuable instructions, King Rahugana's pride crumbled and he got down from his palanquin and fell at Bharata's feet for forgiveness. King Rahugana then asked Bharata who he was. "Are you Kapila Deva, who is in the form of pure goodness?" "I am not afraid of anyone, but I am afraid of disregarding a devotee of Lord Vishnu." So he didn't want to offend a devotee of Lord Vishnu. So King Rahuguna asked for forgiveness. So Bharata gives his invaluable advice to King Rahuguna. Bharata told King Rahuguna, "You have fallen into material enjoyment by coming under Maya's illusion. Okay? Give up your royal duties, such as punishing and rewarding others, and become friend to all. Give up attachment from material enjoyment and spend your time in the service of God. By doing service, you will be liberated from material existence, which is full of distress, danger, lamentation, and unhappiness. So don't get entangled in all these things and get liberated in the bhakti of Lord Vishnu." Okay? So King Bharata's teachings are considered so great that one who follows them gets liberated from material existence. That's why King Bharata is considered as the greatest of the great kings. Since in that birth he was acting like a dumb and a mad fellow, he got the name of Jadabharata. Okay, so let's look at the shloka which is related to this story. So shloka from Sankhya Yoga 2.2 says that न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. The soul is neither born nor does it ever die, nor having once existed does it ever cease to be. The soul is without birth, eternal, immortal, and ageless. It is not destroyed when the body is destroyed. Even though Bharata had 3 births, his soul was not destroyed, right? That is what this shloka talks about. The next shloka from Dhyana Yoga 6.41 also says about the life story of King Bharata. Okay, how we can live his life. Prapya punyakritam lokan ushitva shashvata samaha shuchinam shrimatam gehe yoga brashto bijayate. The unsuccessful yogis upon death go to the abodes of the virtuous. After dwelling there for many ages, they are again reborn in the earth plane into a family of pious and prosperous people. We saw King Bharata was a very pious person. He was in the first birth, he was an unsuccessful yogi, but in spite of that, he was reborn in the earth and again as a great pious person as Jadabharata, and then he was liberated. Okay? Hari Om.
Thank you, Shubhaji, for this wonderful story. Did you all like the story of Bharata or Jadabharata? Okay, let us see some questions now. Okay, so last time we saw the story of how he was dying, and when he was dying, he was thinking of the deer that he left behind, right? So, what was he born as in the next birth? Yes, Ram. Yes, Ram. Yes, he was born as a deer. Okay. Now, in after many times, again he was born again, right? So there is death and there is rebirth. This keeps on going, and then finally he was born in the lineage of which rishi? Yes, Ram.
Angirasa.
Yes, Angirasa. Okay. And now in this birth, although he was not a deer and he was very, he was enlightened and he was very devotee of Mahavishnu, he also remembered about his birth when he was attached to the deer. So this time he was very careful. And how did he pretend to be in this birth? Did he pretend to be like a wise man and go around advising people? No. Then how was he pretending to be in this birth? Yes, Ram.
Mad, dumb, deaf.
He was pretending like a fool, someone who doesn't know anything. Okay, he will just be however he wants to. Okay. So what did people do? They cleaned him and dressed him up for what? They dressed him up, right? They caught hold of him and then they dressed him up and they cleaned him. And then they were going to offer him to whom? Yes, dear Disha. Yes, he was going to be offered to goddess Kali. Now, why did Kali save him? Why did Kali save him? Yes, Ram.
Because the Vishnu Bhaktas will be always protected.
Okay, very good. Okay. Now, after that, after some days, so he was, which was the king who was going somewhere? What was the name of that king? Okay, if you don't remember the name of the king, of which place he was? King of which place? King of Sindhu. King of Sindhu, and his name was Rahugana. Okay, so this was the king. So now this king was going in a palakin, right? Somewhere he was going, and suddenly one of the 4 persons are needed to carry it. So one person was not well. So who was substituted in place of that one person? Yes, Diya Disha?
Bharata.
Bharata. Okay. So now suddenly the palakin is wobbling. Why was it wobbling? Yes, Ram?
Because Bharata was following the ants.
He didn't want to step on the ants.
Step on ants.
He was not following the ants, but they were on the path. So he would go here and there to save them. So when he was going, what was happening to the one that he's carrying? That is also moving here and there, wobbling, right? So then the king became very, very angry. And then he was going to punish Bharata. So what did Bharata say? Was he afraid that the king is going to punish? Yes, Ram?
No, he told the king warned him, and Bharata was not frightened, and he told that I am soul, I am not a body.
Ah.
When my body also destroyed, my soul will go to another body.
So he had that jnana, he had the knowledge, the ultimate knowledge, which helped him to be calm and collected even in difficult situation. It was the most difficult situation for him, no? Especially in those days, king's punishment will not be small. They will directly either put you in prison or they will even kill you, right? So because he had the knowledge of the who he is actually, it kind of saved him from being sad or upset or worried. All those things did not come within him. Okay, so now why was he called Jadabharata? Yes, Ram.
Jada means mad. Jadabharata means a madded one.
Something like a Jada is something like that, no, which doesn't have much life. It is like because he was behaving like that, right? He was behaving like a fool, so that is why he was also called as Jadabharata. Okay, so such was a great king, Bharata, and good that you all enjoyed the story today. Thank you, Shubhaji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.